And it is a couple minutes after 4 o'clock. You are tuned to the 4 p.m. 411. I am Lloyd Kirby, Marketing Manager at WLCN, and we have a pair of guests with us today. Annie Coers, who is the Business Development Officer, and June Kidd, who is the CEO and President of the First National Bank in Tremont. Is that correct?
That's right.
All right, I got it right. So, ladies, thank you for being here with us. For those of you who have driven through Lincoln, you've probably seen the construction on Woodlawn around the 710 Woodlawn Road area, where the new branch of the First National Bank in Tremont is actually going up in Lincoln. So, ladies, can you tell us a little bit about that? What made First National Bank in Tremont decide to locate in Lincoln?
We have been having a lot of growth in our New Holland location that is coming out of Lincoln. And so we've been looking, we actually had a feasibility study done in 2018 as to whether we should build a branch in Lincoln. And that came back that we should. But
Okay.
my board, once they take a slow approach and very cautious and careful, decided it wasn't the right time yet. And then with all the changes that are happening, they just decided after we got the new branch built in New Holland, now is the right time. So.
Okay. And do we know when you're going to be opening that branch yet?
We are so close. Our target is the end of next week.
Okay.
So we aren't given a specific date yet because we still have a lot of little loose ends to come together, but it's looking promising for next
Okay.
week.
And so what kind of services will you offer the community that maybe they won't find at another bank, or that you folks are going to try and do better than other facilities?
We always answer that most banks offer the same products, same services. What is going to set us apart are our people and how we take care of the people that come to see us and look to us for assistance. So our tagline is actually, you have to experience it. And that actually came from one of our customers. They were talking to our marketing director at the time and said, I just can't describe it. You just have to experience it.
Oh, okay.
And it was like, okay, that's it. That clicks. And
Right.
so we try to make every experience our customers have with us a good one. Whether it's calling us on the phone, we answer our own phones. We take care of them personally. It's whether they walk in the door, or we have technology options too. So people who like that, we try to make that a good experience. So.
Okay. Miss Annie, you're kind of quiet over there. So.
Well, and that kind of goes in with everybody knows our faces. We're familiar faces, friendly voices. When they call in, they're going to know who they're talking to. One thing we take pride in is our branch. Even though we haven't moved to Lincoln yet, we've been in the Lincoln community, helping at the fair, helping at the Balloon Fest. We're vested in Lincoln, and we want to show you guys that we care.
Yeah, I think I saw a Facebook page or Facebook post. There were people in T-shirts. I can't remember if it was
For the
downtown
Logan County Professional Network. Yeah,
That's
we were
right.
security this weekend.
Oh, okay. You didn't have to rough anyone up or throw anyone in jail or anything?
No.
All right. So you mentioned hopefully soon the opening will be taking place. You mentioned that most banks offer the same kind of products, but just maybe for those of you people like me who maybe aren't particularly, I know you can do a checking account and a savings account, but what other kinds of things will you offer to the community?
Loans, obviously, are a big draw for us. We specialize in ag and commercial, also mortgage loans, consumer lending. We have our own branded credit card. So we try to help people get a start with new credit, because that's difficult to do. So a lot of times when you're in a small community like this, we know everybody involved with the family, and it just helps somebody younger get a good start. And so that's one thing. We have a financial services division for investments. Let's see, we have a business manager product that's a little bit unique for businesses that are in a growth mode. It's a receivables program where they can get paid for their receivables up front, because it's difficult to grow if you don't have the collateral you need to grow. So it's a good mechanism to help them grow a new business as well.
Okay.
And one thing we took this year, we started started small, started with the little kids. We started a Money Smart program in elementary school in New Holland and Middletown, and taught the kids the importance of saving and not always spending. We might want to, but do we need to? And we feel like starting young with those little kids and helping them understand what money's about and what credit's about, and saving is going to help in the long run with the next generation.
Okay, our guests are Annie Coers and June Kidd from the First National Bank in Tremont. 217-648-5510 if you have questions of our guests, or if you've experienced the personalized banking at First National Bank in Tremont at one of their branches, feel free to give us a call. Well, I had 5 questions on my list, and we've pretty much covered them all. So I noticed on Facebook, June, since I was looking before the show, that this is your 18th year with the First National Bank in Tremont. How has banking kind of changed over those 18 years? What is different now that maybe wasn't true 18 years ago?
Well, a lot of things have changed from when I started banking, because I was also in banking for 21 years before I came here. So there's been a lot of changes there. Obviously, the technology is probably the biggest change, and the speed for things to be completed and instant access to information. We have our own mobile app, and the branded app has been a big plus for our customers. You can pay your bills online. Who would have ever thought you would go online and pay bills?
Right.
So the technology, I'd say, is the biggest change.
Okay. And we mentioned that you're the president and CEO, and Annie, your official title, Business Development Officer. So what does a Business Development Officer do?
It's something new First National Bank started this year. So essentially going out building relationships with people, getting to know what makes them tick, what their business is, just hearing their story and their dreams and their visions, and finding maybe that right product that they need that's going to help solve their problems.
Okay. All right, and we just had Andrea Runge on last week with the LEAD organization, and I know she talked during the show last week about how business, in terms of economic development, has sort of changed what she does, rather than attracting necessarily a big business, Rivian or that type of business. Some of her focus is more on helping entrepreneurs and small business owners. Is that, or do you kind of play in that same ballpark as well?
Yeah, Andrea and I have had a couple instances where we've had people that needed help in either area. So she had referred people to us and vice versa. So COVID, I think, brought a lot of people to where they had a dream or a vision. They were tired of not being able to work, or they wanted to become their own boss. So yeah, we listened to their story and helped them get to where they need financially.
Okay, it's just about 10 after, so we'll go ahead and take our first break. Once again, 217-648-5510, the number to call, or you can send us an email, 4pm411@wlcnonline.com, if you have questions or comments for either of our guests, and we will be back in 2 minutes with Andrea Coers. Sorry, I knew I was going to do that when we talked about Andrea. Annie Coers, because no one would know you as Andrea, and June Kidd will be with us right after this.
Great job for being.
And we are back on the 4 p.m. 411. Our guests are Annie Coers, the Business Development Officer, and June Kidd, the President and CEO from First National Bank in Tremont. The Lincoln branch will be opening soon. Now, we talked in the first segment, you don't have a date yet, but during the break, you mentioned that you do have some ideas of what will happen when you do have that opening of the branch. So can you tell us a little bit about what you've got on the docket for that?
Of course. We absolutely want to have a ribbon cutting and celebrate being able to come into the Lincoln market. So we'll schedule a ribbon cutting event, and then followed Friday, we're planning open house during lunch hour for people to come in, take a tour, and have lunch for them. 2 giveaways that we're going to do inside the bank, and then wrap up Saturday with coffee and donuts and call it a weekend. Date to be determined.
To be determined, but soon-ish.
Yes.
We hope so. Let's see, and during the first segment also you talked about how even though it's a new branch that your folks are very vested in the community. You have folks who will be familiar faces and names to Lincolnites you were talking about. You want to give a shout out to some of those folks who will be there?
Well, Tyler Hodge, he'll be our regional branch manager, so he'll take care of Lincoln and New Holland, oversee lending for both, and manage them. Jennifer Holliday, assistant vice president.
Okay.
So she'll be there daily. Tyler will travel, obviously, between the two. And then we have Bethany Murphy as loan officer. Diana Wagner, who is at our New Holland branch, she will be the teller supervisor. And Lindsay Guy, digital marketing. She takes care of all of our digital social media right now, so she'll fall into place with digital marketing manager. And then tellers, Morgan Hauser and Elena Benninger.
Okay, so that's, I wasn't paying close. 7?
Yeah.
I was thinking 7 or 8. So,
and then, of course, myself in and out. Yeah.
Okay. And so you'll have the pretty much standard what people would expect as far as business hours when the facility will be open. And you also mentioned the mobile app and being able to do things online, so people will have access. Anything I should be asking you that I'm forgetting to ask you, or that I didn't think I should be asking you?
We'll be open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, drive-through as well, 8 to 5, and Saturdays, 8 to noon.
Okay.
So come check us out. You just have to experience it.
I heard that somewhere, I believe a few minutes ago. So our guests are Annie Coers and June Kidd. 217-648-5510, the number to call if you have questions or comments of our guest. Talking about the soon-to-be open Lincoln branch of the First National Bank in Tremont, located at 710 Woodlawn Road in Lincoln. You mentioned, we were talking before the show, that you've had a lot of different folks who've been helping you get to this point where you're almost ready to open, in terms of, for example, I saw Bees Landscaping did some of the outdoor work for you, and you've had a lot of contractors that have been juggling schedules, I guess, to get things ready to go.
Yeah. So, I mean, that went from a concrete, 2 double lots concrete, to now sod and beautiful trees and bushes with Bees Landscaping. They've been there a week plus, and watering for us morning, noon, and night. Schneider Masonry with their beautiful brickwork looks just like our branch in New Holland, and they do great work. Yeah.
All right, very good. So what? Trying to think how to phrase this question. What made was there something in particular that made the powers that be there at the Tremont First National Bank in Tremont decide to come to Lincoln? I mean, you talked about a feasibility study or market to see, if it would work. What was there sort of an impetus to decide maybe what brought up about the question that should we expand to Lincoln? Like, did you see a particular void or a need there, or how did that idea first kind of come about?
I would say the bulk of it came from our customers. We were already growing a lot of our customer base coming from Lincoln, and we continued to hear, if you just had a branch in Lincoln, it would make it easier for me to do this or to do that. And so that kind of got us started on that process. And then just with all of the changes that are occurring in Lincoln, it just seemed like it was the right time for us. We're a little bit more unique in that we are truly a community bank. A lot of banks say they're a community bank, but we truly are. We're very involved in the communities that we're currently in. We already have a branch in Tremont, in Hopedale, New Holland, and then now Lincoln. And our staff are all living in these communities, working in these communities, and volunteering. I know Annie was going to talk a little bit about the volunteering hours that we have. It's a focus for us in our staff's bonus plan is that they volunteer at least 15 hours a year of community service, and so we actually track that. They turn in on sheets where they've volunteered and what they're doing. So I think you're going to share how many hours we had.
So last year, our 2021, we had between the three branches, New Holland and Tremont and Hopedale, we had 850 community service hours.
Oh, wow.
And that's amongst 60 organizations within those communities. So we live, we work, and we grow in those communities, and we thrive.
Okay. And I'm sure we'll leave someone out, but can you just kind of give us a sampling of what organizations or types of organizations maybe the volunteers donated their time to?
In Tremont, we have the Shared Closet, the Tremont Community
Commerce Association.
The schools, Ladies Auxiliary, Central Illinois Veterans Commission. Every month there's something new that, people are in need of volunteers always, and we lend a hand. We'll be at the Railer football game for homecoming night, so the parents can go out in the stand and watch the game. We're going to take over concessions for them. So if there's a need, we'll be there.
So following up on that, if there are organizations you mentioned needing volunteers, how would they get on your radar in terms of letting you know, hey, we could certainly use some volunteers to help with whatever the task might be? How would those folks let you know of their need?
Yeah, they can call any of our branch, depending on the market that they're in. Stop by and reach out to me or one of the branch managers.
Okay. So 217-648-5510, the number here at WLCN. It is just about 20 after. We're talking with June Kidd and Annie Coers from the First National Bank in Tremont, and we'll go ahead and take our second break, and we will be back right after this. And we are back on the 4 p.m. 411. Our guests are Annie, I almost called you Andrea again, Annie Coers and June Kidd from the First National Bank of Tremont. The Lincoln branch will be opening soon at a to-be-determined date, but not too distant in the future. We were talking once again during the break about, we talked last segment about the volunteers and community service that your folks do. You also have some folks who are already involved with organizations and some leadership positions, you were saying.
Go ahead.
Yes, we're on a couple of boards here in Lincoln. I'm on the Lincoln Hospital Board, and Dave Pickering, who many of you will recognize that name from Lincoln. Dave Pickering is our CFO, and he is on the Land of Lincoln CEO Board and helps with that.
Okay. And so we were talking, again, that sort of goes in with the theme of being not only locally located, but locally involved in terms of your workers. You also mentioned during the break that not only are your workers locally involved, but also some of the operations, things that other branches perhaps send to faraway places to be done. You handle a lot of things locally as well.
Yes, especially the underwriting decisions for loans. Those are made locally by the lender that you're dealing with. They're really involved in that process. If it's a loan that's too large for their lending limit, they're still involved as they bring in additional people to help with that. So I think that's key, is that we have local decision making.
And we can tailor the loan to fit that small business need.
Okay, so we were talking earlier about business development, right up your alley. So the First National Bank in Tremont opening the Lincoln branch coming up shortly, and of course you'll send out information once you have a firm date and as far as schedules and activities and things. I usually have kind of an off-the-wall question that I throw my guests, but for whatever reason I don't have one for you. If there was, I'm trying to think, if there was something that a customer maybe, what's something that maybe people don't understand about banking in general that, because like I said, I'm very low-level consumer user. I mean, I've got a mortgage and I've got a savings account and I've got a checking account. What kinds of things go on behind the scenes that maybe people wouldn't think bankers or folks involved in banking have to deal with in terms of, whether it's dealing with the public or whether it's business decisions? Are there, what kinds of things would maybe the average person like myself not realize that is a big part of banking that you folks deal with a lot that I would never think maybe you would deal with?
We're a highly regulated industry, so we have a lot of specific guidelines that we have to follow, and we definitely want to do that. We want to stay on good terms with all the regulators, but we are able to look at the situation and how can we adjust this to still comply where we need to, but help the customer accomplish what they want and what they need.
Okay.
Good answer.
So let's talk to the business development officer. So suppose I've got a business idea and I think, okay, I want to start my own company doing, pick a business, and I come to you, and what sorts of information would you need from me, or how would that process get started as far as developing a business and deciding, what kind of loans and how much money would be needed and so forth? How does that sort of process work? And I know it's probably different for every business, but
right.
Is there sort of a general guideline or process that things kind of follow?
Well, first of all, we would want to see your business plan, what your dreams are, what your projections are, what market area you're going to be in. I think that would be key for anybody wanting to start. I mean, anybody can say, I want to start an ice cream shop, but where are you going to do it? And how much money do you have down?
Okay. And then suppose that business plan it passes inspection and it looks like, okay, this is something that, from a banking standpoint that it would be maybe not a major risk to you, I guess, or it would be something you would be able to support. How does the process go from there?
Well, typically I get them in with the lender right away. I can hear their dreams, but obviously the lender's going to have to be the one to make that decision on what we are capable of doing for that customer.
And when you say lender, that's like an individual there at your branch who
Right.
basically makes the decision about whether someone qualifies for a loan and
Right.
whether you'll extend that. Okay, very cool. Just got a couple minutes left here. Is there anything, any other shout outs? We talked about, the contractors. We talked about your local employees and your local involvement on the boards and volunteering and things like that. Anything else about First National Bank in Tremont that maybe you want the public to know about in advance
in
of
the
your opening?
meantime, everybody can go to tremontbank.com. All of our products, services, who we are, what we do, our communities we serve, our directors, our employees, we're all on there. Just research us and come take a look when we open.
And I can vouch for that because I stole your pictures that I used on my slide off of your website. So if folks do have questions, how can they get a hold of you? And I know the Lincoln branch, since it's not open yet,
Right.
probably can't call there. But if they want more information about when it's going to open, or maybe something about business or an account before the branch actually opens, how could they get in touch with you?
Our number in New Holland is 217-445-2211.
Okay, and as we mentioned, you've got the website, which is
tremontbank.com.
tremontbank.com. So our guests have been Annie Coers, the Business Development Officer, and June Kidd, the President and CEO, First National Bank in Tremont, opening its Lincoln branch at 710 Woodlawn Road in Lincoln very soon. Can we? I guess we can't say by the end of the month because today's the 30th, but soon.
We hope by the end of next week.
Oh, okay.
But,
we're
which
just-
day, we're not sure
We're
yet.
just hoping at this point, so that's okay. Well, ladies, thanks for stopping by, and we will talk to you again down the road, I'm sure.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thanks. The preceding program is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com.